Hello and welcome to the topic analysis for Lincoln-Douglas debate of Nationals of 2025. Resolved: violent revolution is a just response to political oppression. Some important definitions for this revolution. First, violent revolution is defined as changing the way that a state is governed through force or violence. This basically means that a people can overthrow the government or radically change the way that it is structured through violent mechanisms. Something that is just, like a just response, is something that is morally correct or fair. And finally, political oppression is defined as an unjust or cruel exercise of power and authority from a government or another type of power against its constituents or its own citizens. Some important affirmative arguments. One key part of affirmative ground is the idea of preventing oppression. The argument is that violent revolution would prevent and stop this political oppression by overthrowing the oppressive ruling force and establishing a better government. The American Revolution is an important empiric of this. Although it was hundreds of years ago, it still proved that the colonists' will to overthrow the oppressive and non-representative British Crown succeeded and resulted in a more representative democracy. This helped reclaim dignity and increase self-determination, which is the ability for people to choose their own actions and exercise their own autonomy. This creates a spillover effect. Future revolution in other parts of the world or in that own state becomes a more realistic option and also inspires future revolution. This decreases political oppression, and governments like monarchy and autocracies become less powerful. The American Revolution also proves this argument. After the colonists successfully revolted against the British government, other states like Haiti and other South American rebels essentially revolted against the oppressive governments that they had, showing this spillover or ripple effect beyond the one example. Another important affirmative argument is the failure of peaceful methods. The argument here is that oppressive governments are designed to suppress peaceful methods, like protests, fair elections, and peaceful reform. This oppression and this resistance of peaceful methods is what causes the political oppression. And so, by definition, peaceful methods cannot work against political oppression. And violent revolution becomes justified because it is a last resort and is the only thing in which that the oppressive government might have a chance of listening or be overthrown. Another important part of this argument is that revolution is the only hope, it's the last-ditch escape for justice or escaping oppression. Moving on to the negative arguments. One important part of the negative ground in this debate is about illegitimate leaders and harming democracy. Here, the argument is that illegitimate leaders can come into power through revolution because it creates a period of anarchy. And this illegitimate government would just further oppress the population because it was not properly chosen. A key example of this is the Russian Revolution. This revolution was designed to overthrow the Russian Tsar. Although it was successful in the sense that the Tsar was eventually killed, it was unsuccessful because the new government through Stalin was even more oppressive to the Russian population, which was a net negative for the people of Russia. This proves that violent revolution would just perpetuate instability and weaken democratic processes because the new government just continues oppression and continues to suppress the people's ideas. Another important thesis of the negative arguments is just going to be the notion that violence is bad or is not the answer. The argument here is a continuation of the previous one by saying that violent revolution would just increase suffering. An example of this was in Yemen. After President Saleh was killed and his oppressive government was removed through violent revolution, an even worse period of instability broke out through civil war in the country. The thesis of this argument is that there are alternative methods to break free from oppression, such as reforms and protests. Although these might not guarantee the most immediate effects or the most drastic changes, they still guarantee another recourse for stopping political oppression, or at least decreasing it, instead of going for violent revolution, which could just make the situation worse and overall result in a net negative for people being oppressed.